Okay, we are back. This could be your first time, so I don't know if you're actually back, but this is The Journey with Brandon Thomas, and today we got Shannon Sturges. I don't have a soundboard yet, so I gotta just make my own sound.
Your own fanfare.
That's it.
Fanfare.
Yeah. So this is about.
Don't think I don't see you eating those jelly beans.
So we're at an acting studio right now, and Shannon has jelly beans at her desk that I have made a home in, and that is what's holding up the first couple seconds of this podcast. So here we go. You're not about to get asked about your acting. What do you think makes a good actor? Oh. And we're not doing that.
Let me lean back a little now.
She just sat back. She thought that she was about to give up all her acting goods. Nope, not today. That is another podcast, guys. You guys got to come to the studio, Spies of Sturges, and check it out if you want some acting stuff. Today we're going to talk about Shannon Sturges, the actress. We're also going to talk about Shannon Sturges, the acting coach, but that will be later. So, boom. Here's my question. Let's start off easy. What was your favorite role?
Okay. Well, that's not easy. Because I like different roles for different things.
Okay.
I loved playing Reese Burton because it gave me so many opportunities. That was on the television show Savannah.
Boom.
I loved a lot of the TV movies that I did. I loved some of the people that I worked with and the places that I went.
Right. Favorite place you went?
I love filming in Berlin. That was really fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And it was really cool. And I met some great people on that set. So, and we filmed at Babelsberg, where Marlene Dietrich shot her movies. And so it was filled with richness. And then, they fly you first class, and that's all fun.
Right. Okay, so we got to pick a role. We can't do this.
No.
They were all great. No.
I did an episode of Cold Case where I look horrible, but I really liked that character and that role that I played. Okay. I look so different that, in the Cold Case, there's the actress who plays my best friend, and I met her later. I was like, oh, we did that episode together. And she's like, no, we didn't. I was like, yeah, we did.
What?
I'm like, I looked a little different then. They dyed my hair, and I was a little chubby.
Wow.
And but I really liked that role. That was she was a really damaged person. So I don't think I've ever told anybody that.
Ooh, look
there
at
you go.
With the exclusives.
So it's not my biggest, showiest role. I also did an episode of Brimstone where I played an escaped soul from hell. That was pretty awesome.
Right, yeah, that sounds good. I'm like, slowly backs away. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's dope. Okay. Yeah. What was your favorite part of maybe being at the height of your acting career or any part of it? I know go ahead.
I'm going to say getting to fly with the Blue Angels.
Right.
Flying an F-18 Super Hornet was kind of cool. And I only was able to do that because I was on a television show. And I had a wonderful publicist who made that happen.
Right.
That's a perk.
Look, so this is my next question. What is better, the perks or the money?
I'm going to say perks.
Right.
Because I never made the big money. I mean, I made good money. Right. I made more money than I never made. I was really happy.
Right.
But those experiences, if my husband could have drained his bank account to go up with the Blue Angels, he would have.
Easy.
That was his dream. He's still bitter about it, and it was 20 years ago.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a crazy question, but I think that I've done some stuff that you cannot pay to do.
Right.
And it's people, it may just be a surface thing, give me the money, but we did an event with the Clippers, and we did it at Dodger Stadium. It was Clippers Dodger night. And before every game, they say it's time for Dodger baseball. Mm-hmm. And they say it on this mic. And we did it, and I posted a video, and I got hit up by so many people how did you do this? I would pay to do this. I've been trying to pay to do this. And I'm just well, I don't know what to tell you.
That's a perk.
I agree.
I played with snow leopard kittens because I was doing a talk show, and Jack Hanna was there,
dang.
And he brought the snow leopard kittens. I was like, yes, I want to pet them. And they had the softest fur and the sweetest little paws.
I don't think that you get to talk about your acting career enough because you're an acting coach now. So you've transitioned from one to another. When did you know to transition? or what caused the transition? Maybe you didn't know. Maybe it just happened.
I'd always known I had a gift for teaching. I'd always studied with Aaron Spicer, who, next to me, I consider the best.
Right.
After me, very close.
1B, got it.
A little different. But he's amazing, and he had always been encouraging me to teach. And at the time, I didn't feel like I could teach and still be working as an actor. I felt that the other students wouldn't understand when I would fail, and you have to be able to be willing to fail to be a good actor. So I really wasn't ready yet, and he kept encouraging it, and I came back, and then I started giving notes, and it started being more fun for me. I'd sort of done a lot that I wanted to do within the acting realm, and it was more creative for me. It was a new creative excitement. The shame is, in some ways, is I feel like I'm a better actor now than I was before I began teaching. I think teaching made me now I truly understand about failure. I don't think even then I really understood, like, to be able to completely fail. But I felt like I had to choose one. I didn't feel like I could be an authority to help people if I'm signing in on a call sheet right underneath them on an audition. You know, I even though I know there are people that do that, I wanted to keep it clean. I don't ever want to coach a woman who's my type and be thinking, wonder if I could go up for this.
I'm going to tape for this as soon as you're done.
Right, yeah. Even though I think I could do that in terms of I give them everything that they needed and it's just different. It just feels a little unethical, or, just doesn't feel right to me. So now I'm a full-time teacher. And, in all honesty, I don't think that I had some wonderful jobs and some amazing roles I got to play, but I think probably some of my best work was in class. I mean, some of those things that you get to do that you don't necessarily get the opportunity to be paid to do. I'd see, a different person with a different look get the role that I really wanted. And so, I mean, while I'm so grateful for my career and I've been so blessed by doing the things I wanted to do, it's not like, oh my gosh, you have to sit down and watch this movie that I was in because it's so incredible and will move and change your life. Although there were things that I did that were moving for other people, but it's not like I was in an Academy Award nominated movie that.
Right, fair enough. Yeah, I think it's always so cool to talk to people that have made it, and I think that the term "made it" is such a wide thing, right? Because I remember before I booked my first commercial, I was like, this is never gonna work. You know what I mean? And you find all these things that are like wrong with you, and then eventually something happens and you're like, well, maybe I'm not that bad. You know what I mean? Like, somebody said I'm okay. So you feel like this thing, and I think it's like there's such a level of gratitude to even be able to do like one thing, because I know a bunch of people that haven't done anything. So it's like for you to be able to have this like career of stuff, and even though you say you didn't win an Academy Award, which you probably could have, you know what I mean? I trust you.
I had my speech ready.
I need a speech. I think it's like such a special thing to have made it and to like have like actually done it,
I am so incredibly grateful. I mean, I really can't. I worked really hard.
Right.
And then a great big dose of luck. On a lot of aspects of it. And it's interesting because made it is, there are people who make it who aren't any good. There are people who are incredibly talented who never make it. So everybody needs to sort of come up with their own definition of success. And I get it. Success is being able to, pay your rent.
Right.
I bought a house in Southern California. That's making it.
Oh, man. Especially in 2019. Oh, you made it.
So, yeah, it's, because a lot of my students haven't made it yet. I'm listening to Jenna Fisher's audiobook right now, so I'm early into it. But, she talks about meeting Molly Shannon, and Molly Shannon saying it took her, don't give up, it took her 10 years.
Look, 10 that's a quick 10. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just because I've been in this industry to some degree for maybe like 12 years now, and I always tell people it is a race to see who can die the slowest, because there are people that quit every day. You know what I mean? And there are people that is just too much. You know, it's like it can get rough. You know what I mean? So it's just like there are people that quit every day, and if you can just outlast somebody, then maybe you know it increases your chances. As you don't want to go too dark, but you know, I literally tell people, how slow can you die? How slow can you just put one foot in the grave and then just hold yourself up a little bit and then slow?
And so I think you have to love it. I think the people who want fame or want something, who don't love the craft, that'll eat you up.
100%.
If you don't understand it, if you don't enjoy it, it as horrible as it is to enjoy those auditions that you don't get. Enjoy that opportunity to go into that room and own that role for that 5 minutes or less.
Yo, I'm thinking, I probably love this, huh?
I've been doing
this for a long time.
Because you will meet some sad and bitter actors. And that's death. You know, can you imagine walking into a room being bitter? Nobody wants to work with you then. You know, it can eat you up. You've gotta love it.
I agree. Now we're transitioning from love to love. Okay, now you are the acting coach of the world, you know, top 5 dead or alive, that's what we'll call it. What has been the highlight of part 2 of your career, which is acting coach? Like, what have you liked the most? What's your favorite?
I love seeing students transform. I love the wonderful cards and notes and letters that I get from students who say, even if they haven't booked something, of course I love when my students,
right.
I've got a couple of students who've booked series and movies, and that's so exciting. I mean, big life-changing things. But the ones who say, you know, you've changed my life. They're more confident, they understand themselves, they're more open emotionally. That's exciting to see lives transformed.
Yeah, that's definitely, and I think that's definitely a thing. And not to turn this into a commercial, but I just feel like
you can do that.
Fair enough. I think it's like before I got here, right, and I've been here for a while. I didn't have stuff, if that makes sense. Like, I've always been funny. I've always been charismatic. So I could always just kind of use those things, but I didn't know what I was doing with them, if that makes sense. So since being here, I've learned like how to use these powers, if that makes sense. I think of it as like X-Men or something like that. You know what I mean? Where you can just take the glass off and kill everybody, or you can learn how to, you know, pick the people.
I love that.
Trying to kill. So yeah. Well, that's what's up. So, what is next? Like, what do you... maybe not what is next. What is, like... How do you feel about moving forward? Like, what is your dream of this? Like, do you have, like, goals as, like, man, I want to coach 1,000 kids. I want 1,000-person studio. Do you like...
These are things that I'm considering now. So I don't know. Because I don't want to get so big that quality is lost. Sometimes people have asked me to open up studios in other markets.
Right.
And it's something I'm looking at, but looking at in terms of, you know, the primary teachers we have here are myself and Aaron and Indrani.
Right.
And really the magic lies within the three of us.
Totally.
So I don't know if there's somebody else out there who, you know, who could be as good as the three of us. Perhaps.
Right.
I think you'd make a great teacher.
Okay, here we go.
But, so we'll see. I mean, some people have asked me to write a book. I think my book would probably be a little more memoir than acting necessarily. Maybe a combination of those things. I'm always hoping that my partner Aaron will write a book.
Okay.
And I know he's been sort of working on it for.
Do you want acting book or do you want memoir book? Because
From Aaron?
Yes, he's always got a story.
He does. That's a good question. I'll have to. That's up to him.
Okay.
I've heard all his stories.
Right.
I've heard them all like 15 times.
Oh, we know the stories. Don't you worry.
You know, so I don't know if Middle America needs or wants those stories.
Yeah.
You know.
But
they might.
They might.
You know.
And that is where
but again,
it really hinges.
You know, I'll let Aaron be the author of his story.
I'm just curious what you thought.
Yeah. I was envisioning that his would be more of a straight acting book
Totally.
with maybe some examples from his long career.
That'll be Aaron. You hear us? Give us the book, man.
It's what the people want.
Give us the book. That is special. Okay, so here's the next question. If you had to title this chapter of your life, your journey, what would it be?
The transition.
Oh, I like that. Are we allowed to ask transitioning from what to what?
Well, for me, my children are growing up. I've got one going off to college. One turned 16.
Ooh.
So they don't need me. I feel like they took a lot of my time and energy
Right.
in the best way.
We know what you mean. Took a lot of my time.
So, and now with the business growing, you know, it's exciting. It's sort of, okay, my kids are going to be off and on their own. And so it's transitioning personally and professionally. Just like to answer those questions, what do I see for Spicer Sturges? Are there, you know, locations in other places, or is there, you know, going to other places for shorter periods of time, or bringing people here, or a bigger space? Again, bigger's not always better.
I agree.
We've got the most amazing quality, and I don't want to lose the quality of what. So those are the things to think about. You know, sometimes people get too big and it's not good.
Totally.
You know, you lose your what makes you special.
I worked at In-N-Out for a long time, right? And they always tell us this story about how there was a period of time where everybody was like, oh, In-N-Out needs to be in New York, or In-N-Out needs to be in such and such, right? So In-N-Out only makes restaurants within, we'll say, 500 miles of warehouses, because you have to deliver the food every day, daily, right? So at one point, when it was like really cool to like break out, Boston Market took out a loan from Bank of America for like $300 million kajillion dollars. And they opened up all these restaurants all on the same day because it was a great idea. All the restaurants failed. And they were sitting with this like loan. So I completely agree. And I just think I was more so curious as to what you thought, because it will be interesting to see a big university but then what, I don't know, just thinking of ideas, and I think it's fun to think of ideas that don't necessarily like affect you directly, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, and maybe we should put a play place in the back. But like, what if there was like housing? Wouldn't that be crazy?
And I get that request almost daily, specifically from international students.
100%. And I say that because there was a student who lived in a pod and was coming here. And like somebody has a facility where they're selling bed cubbies to people. And I'm like, now what if there was some acting coach compound? That'd be crazy, right?
Yeah, I
feel like it'd be literal crazy, but...
Well... And then I'm in the landlord business.
Oh, yeah.
And then when do I kick them out?
Oh.
So then it's, okay, we limit it. They can be there for 1 year. What happens when 1 year and they don't have a place to go? And I'm a big old softie.
Yeah.
And then I think, no, you grown up, you need to take care of your own housing.
Oh, my. Yeah, okay. We're going to scrap that.
But I have talked to, there have been places that want us to open up an academy or partner with... arts council or something to bring something to somewhere else. So anything is possible. We just have to figure out what it is that we want. I mean, when I bought the business, we had classes. I think we had 4 classes, maybe 5 classes. I have to look. Over 4 days.
Right.
We now have 11 classes over 7 days a week.
Wow.
That's huge.
So what you're saying is this academy ain't far off. Yeah, no, that is.
Well, I'm saying right now we can't get any bigger.
Right.
We have 7 nights a week we've got a class.
Right.
And 6 days a week we have a class. We have 1 day in the week.
1 day of peace.
Where we get a little quiet time. Where if somebody wants to come and film something or somebody, it's a quiet time at the studio.
Right.
So, sometimes success can be a bad thing. Not a bad thing, but you can be ruined by your own success. So that's something we want to make sure doesn't happen.
Totally. Don't be the Boston market of.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're just gonna throw some stuff here. Okay, so what is your favorite movie? Wait, and I got a question. Do you feel pressure by that question?
I do, because I only think about it when somebody asks it to me.
Okay.
And my answer usually sounds pretentious, but it's part of who I am. I lost my mother at a young age.
Right.
So I like movies that connect me, so there's not to be entertained, but there's like a little French film called Pawnette. Oh. Where, yes, sounds so pretentious.
Right, but Google that.
It's a
Pawnette?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a little girl who loses her mom, and she's just adorable. And her grief is so great that her mother comes back to life. Right? Or she comes back as a ghost.
What?
So, of course,
okay.
There's anytime you've got, which, by the way, they always kill the mother in every movie. So,
have you ever seen Karina? With Whoopi Goldberg and the little girl?
No.
And maybe it's not Ray Liotta, but maybe I haven't seen it in a long time. But you would love this movie. Okay. And the mom doesn't come back in some weird way.
They rarely do.
Yeah. But it's like epic, and it's like Whoopi Goldberg getting down. And I watched it as a kid, and I remember it forever. That's epic.
Yeah.
Whenever
The Little Princess, both the original with. Is that what it was? Yeah.
Was there a cartoon too?
No.
Oh, okay. Gotta Google that
Shirley
too.
Temple.
Oh.
And then
young Shirley.
Really old. And then and the mother's dead because they always kill the mother. I'm telling you, it makes us little girls so vulnerable. And then the father's in the hospital, and then they remade it some years ago, and it was wonderful then too. Just this hope that that love can come back to you as abandoned as you are.
Right.
Didn't really happen to me, but
yeah.
There was a movie called A Trip to Bountiful, where Geraldine Page just wants to go back home to Iowa, or back home where I forgot where her home was, maybe Texas.
Oh no.
Before she dies, and after I saw that, I was like, Grandma, you want to go back to Iowa? And I took my grandmother back. That was our Trip to Bountiful trip.
Oh.
So they're these sort of movies that I'll watch by myself and bawl.
Right.
Totally. Have a little pity party and then I'll watch Tropic Thunder and laugh my ass off.
You deserve that. After that, you deserve that. I always feel stressed out when people ask me my favorite movie.
What is your favorite movie?
Okay, so my favorite movie.
Because apparently I want to stress you out.
Right, but here's why I be stressed. Because people, I feel like they want some actory answer.
Right, yes.
They want me to say, Sidney Poitier in his second film. You know what I mean? Yes. Meanwhile, my favorite movie is called King Arthur. And it's with Clive Owen. And nobody's seen it. You know what I mean? But it's epic. Antoine Fuqua directed it. He went on to do Training Day after that. He recently was... Never mind.
And is it in medieval times?
Yeah, it's in medieval times, and I just loved it because I'm really into all the mythology movies, the Greek joints, Troy, Gladiator, 300, all that older stuff. I'm a little bit sad about it too. I'll tell you why in a second. But this movie, all those guys die. Troy dies. Achilles dies. My man Marcus Aurelius dies. Everybody dies in all these movies. King Arthur does not die. He's a stand-up guy. He's the baddest guy in the movie. And he doesn't die. I mean, his best friend dies. Tragedy, sure. But he doesn't die. And he's just like a stand-up dude. And I think I saw it in high school and I just really connected to it. But my second favorite movie is like Bad Boys 2.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an actor and I'm doing this thing. I can't tell somebody my favorite movie is Bad Boys 2 because then they're like judging and I'm like, have you seen Will Smith? When he flips on that jacket with the pink on the inside, that changed my life. You know what I mean? As a kid, it changed my life. I'd never seen anybody that cool before. Bad Boys 1 is up there too. But Bad Boys 2, he was walking in it. He had guns. He drives the Hummer down the thing. And then the end credits, like, it was actually him. I'm like, I can't compete with this dude. Ha. So.
Okay, now to,
okay.
So, my grandfather was
it.
a very famous, way back in the day, writer-director.
Sturges.
Right, Preston Sturges. And he did a wonderful movie, many, but one was Sullivan's Travels,
okay.
where you're dealing with a director in that movie who makes comedies.
Uh-huh.
And he wants to make the great American drama because he wants that sort of respect and he wants his movies to mean things to people. He doesn't want to just be fluff and light.
Right.
And yet, a series of events happen, but he discovers that sometimes people just want to laugh. Sometimes that's giving them, that's the meaningful thing, is just to entertain them. That sometimes you're having a crappy day,
right.
and for those 2 hours you can be transported and you can have a great time.
Escapism is real.
Right. So I don't think there's any, but I do agree that people are looking, they want me to find that movie with the great, acting performance in it, or
right.
And there's movies that I do love the performances.
Totally.
And there's movies that I think less than stellar performance didn't really elevate it at all. But for entertainment, yeah, it's there's nothing wrong with. My husband and I used to do what we called shoulda night. Watch the movies we should have seen. We never got around to seeing.
Right.
Like Midnight Cowboy, which is a great movie.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of those, it's like, because sometimes you're just sitting, like we watched a movie last night. We were just flipping around and it was like, oh, I don't want to commit to that. I know I should,
right.
but I don't want to. I just want to laugh. Or yeah.
I definitely feel that pressure often. And it's just like, it's tricky because I feel like validation comes with awards to some degree, right? But like Mike Epps and Ice Cube are never going to get an award for All About the Benjamins. And it is a classic movie that is hilarious from top to bottom. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know. Sometimes you just wish it was different. Like, I get it. I get the awards and like I get what it means in all aspects. I think awards is like a thing no matter what you do. You want Student of the Month, you want perfect attendance, you want the whole deal. So it's like, I think it's trained in us from a young age, you know what I mean? That whatever the award is, that's what you want and that's going to validate you. But it's just like, there's just so much, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that deserve awards, or there should be like another set of awards.
That's why in some ways, and people look down on it, box office is great.
Yeah.
Will Smith can make any movie he wants because people love his movies and he cares and he puts the time and attention into it. But,
it's true. Not one Oscar.
Yeah. Now, is that fair? No, but,
right.
The crazy thing is comparing these performances. How do you compare a performance?
How do you compare a performance? And then how do you compare the impact of a performance? And there's a show called The Shop that LeBron James does that Seth Rogen was on, and he talks about like who won the Academy Award the year that Pineapple Express comes out. And he asks everybody, Don Cheadle's in the room, Jimmy Iovine's in the room, and he's like, name the movie. And nobody knows. And he's like, but Pineapple Express, people are still like going to, watch today. And, it's like one of those things again. And he's one of those guys that he's like a comedic, genius. Like, he's got a complete bag that he can get into. But it's like, you know, he's never gonna win an Oscar. And it's like,
and he wants to.
We all, you know what I mean?
He doesn't.
Exactly. So I'm over here like, so does it? Am I saying that it doesn't matter?
Well,
what you want once?
You know it doesn't matter, but yet it matters.
This is terrible, you know?
But that's why if you're looking for outside validation, regardless, it's never going to come.
That's it.
That's the key to happiness.
Right.
You know,
I agree.
It's in the journey.
I see what you did there. Tie in.
But if you're doing a movie just to win an Academy Award, I can't imagine that that's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, totally. But I don't. So let's say I was doing a movie. I don't think I would be doing it for the Academy Award, but I think when I'm finished with it and I give it to you, I want to be praised for it. And maybe praise isn't the word, but I think that you want it to be the best. You know what I mean? And somebody to acknowledge you for that.
I say that, you know, actors just need love and praise. That's what they want. You know? Tell me it was good.
End of the podcast.
Tell me I did a good job.
But this is, I think
that's a way for people to be, especially in film and television. In the theater, you get applause right there. Yeah. People say, I liked it.
Instant gratification.
Right, but you shoot a movie and then 5 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years later it comes out.
You gotta sneak in the theater, see where people were.
Right, and
yeah. That's good. But I think it ties into what you said earlier about how you talked about like a lot of your roles, and then you said you really enjoyed your work in class also, because it's like some of that stuff, like some of the stuff in class, it'd be your best work. You know what I mean? And it is just kind of like, man, if somebody saw this, they'd be like, ooh, you know, and it's not, and I don't want it to sound like it's all about other people saying like you're this thing or like, wow, that was really great. But it's like sometimes like maybe, but then maybe it's just the volume of it.
Well, it's this difficult thing any artist has, because you can't be an artist in a vacuum.
Sure.
If there's nobody to appreciate it, and it goes across all of the artistic. If you're a dancer and nobody sees you dance,
are you
what
a dancer?
does it matter?
Right.
A musician, singer, whatever, and nobody ever listens to your music.
Right.
You're a painter and nobody ever sees your paintings. A sculptor, nobody ever sees it. It's a relationship with the audience. It's a relationship with whoever is receiving it.
I agree.
So, so in class, maybe there's 8 people left by the time you do your scene. You get a blast. But at least those 8 people come up and they are like, wow, that was moving.
Totally.
That meant something to me. And of course, if you're in a big feature film, if you're The Rock and people around the globe know you and love you and relate to you, if you're Will Smith, and then you've got that. You've got that relationship.
Right.
We all feel like we know and love Will Smith.
And we don't know Will Smith at all. That's crazy. That just hurt a little bit. That is... But
we do. We know his persona. We know, he's not... and there's no right or wrong. Some actors are incredibly private. You won't ever get to know them. It's harder and harder to do these days to be that private. But and we don't know him, but we know the version of him he wants us to see.
100%.
Right? And that's a truthful version. Just like you and I and everybody listening, we have the sides of ourselves we let everybody see.
Right.
And then the people who really know us see the rest of that.
100%. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'll take that. So me and Will, we are friends. I'm subscribed to his YouTube channel.
I don't know if I extrapolated it out to that.
I mean, don't worry. I'll help you. You didn't go that far, but I'm going to just take it the rest of the way. Well, that's what's up.
Have you thought about reaching out to him?
To be my stepdad?
Mentor?
That would be dope. No, I haven't. But I would love to, and I'm gonna.
He's an incredibly generous person.
I'm gonna say this on the pod, right? I have a friend, His name is King Batch, aka Andrew Batchelor. What it do, baby? He is a genius. He makes outstanding work all the time. What I want to always be known for, or like when I make stories, when I make films and stuff like that, is I tell people on my sets all the time, this needs to be real and it needs to be relatable. Everything else, secondary. I would love to make something that he saw and agreed with. I don't know if I would need to act anymore if Will Smith was like, yo, that was tight. That's a complete lie, right? But I think, so I brought up Bash to say this.
It's too bad. I wish people could see how much he just lit up. It's just the idea of that.
Right. So Batch makes spoofs of every major movie that comes out, and they're hilarious. This year, when Bad Boys 3 comes out, I am going to make a Batch style, hopefully with Batch. Hey Batch. I'm gonna make a Batch style movie, a Batch style short for Bad Boys 3. If not Gemini Man,
Excuse me.
we got a sneezer. Edit points.
Now we're done.
Bless you.
Thank you.
But yeah, I'm gonna do that. And by the way, he shared this guy's film that made a reimagination of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Uh-huh.
The guy made another project. So good. So good. And I'm just... the guy didn't get recognized for making a reimagination of Fresh Prince, right? He got recognized for just being good. Damn good. You know what I mean? And what got noticed and what took him out just so happened to be a Fresh Prince reimagination. And I think that's like always my biggest thing, and that's always my challenge. Maybe just being an athlete is that I always want to be the best person in my group, in my class, in my thing, because I'm like, okay, well, if I can be the best person in my study group, then maybe I could be the best person on the test, which could then transition to being the best person in the class, which then can, because you want to be the best in the world, right? But it's like, how do you get from being you to being the best person in the world? Like, you kind of maybe got to step it up a little bit, or you got to, you know what I mean? You got to try to conquer smaller bites of it. And of course, the best is subjective to preference and maybe what you're doing. But I think that's my approach, and in hopes to be the best.
Strive for excellence.
Strive for excellence. Shout out to LeBron. Yeah, so that's my take. What do you think? Can you be the best person? Ooh, can you be the best person in an acting class?
That's a really interesting question.
I agree, and I see the places it doesn't work.
You know, there's people who are better than others, but the better comes from, in the irony of ironies, not caring what other people think.
Oh shit.
Right? Think about the people that are the best.
Right.
Are they trying to make you love them, or are they trying to honor the character, the scene? And if you're willing to fail, if you're willing to not be the best in that moment, but still...
That's a thing for me too, because it's like you want to be the best so bad that and that sounded ridiculous, but you want to be good,
right?
So you aren't willing to risk as much in order to maintain this idea of good. And I definitely think that the freedom of letting go allows you to be better.
You put so much pressure on yourself, and I think that happens a lot of times with big stars as well. Some of them they don't want to let their audience down. They don't want to let their fans down. They don't want to, and you've got to let that go to really have a great performance.
Right.
You know, I suspect Denzel doesn't much care if he messes up a take.
No. But see, all right, so Denzel doesn't care if he messes up a take, right? But what about, See, that's always hard for me because it's like, yeah, Denzel don't care. Nobody cares if Denzel messes up a take. But does Michael B. Jordan care? And see, even he's on the top end of the Denzel, Will Smith, Viola Davis. They're in the black community, right? They're out of here. Right. They can mess up a take. They can mess up a movie, and it's gonna be fine. You know, but can the people in the first half of the journey, can they mess up a take? Maybe less takes than
right. They can't mess up repeatedly.
Right.
But they have to not care about impressing anyone other than real and relatable, making it truthful in that moment.
Yeah.
Right? If they're ahead thinking about what their next line, if they're worried about this hitting this mark and that's all that's in their head, then they're not going to be great.
Yeah. I think it is like the idea of like, for me, right? I know that I'm talented, right? I know I got a something on it. But it's like, so when you get these opportunities and you're like, okay, this is the opportunity. I gotta pull out all my shit. It's time now. Do it. And then it's like, I had a friend who booked a role because in the self-tape he didn't want to do it.
Right.
He didn't want to do it. So he just did something and turned it in. And I think it worked for him because he didn't care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He had his stuff. He's naturally a great actor, and he didn't care about the role. And it worked out perfect. It's going into season 2, the whole deal. And it's like, how do you find that freedom in the desperation of now? And desperation might not be the word, but it is the urgency of like, you wanting this thing now, but you also need this blend of like, this is what I have, it is what it is.
This is much easier said than done. You just have to connect to the character, to what the character's needs and wants, and be there for that. It's not about getting the role. Right. No scene is ever about getting the role. Right.
Although I'm willing to write that so I can get that one right.
The problem is then everybody else is gonna like, this I relate to, right?
Yeah.
And it's really, it's about letting go of the outcome. Right? Because, and as you know, the outcome's so out of your control that they're gonna lose their funding and the movie never happens. They're gonna go with a relative. You're good, but you're not as good as the person who's already got a deal with the network. Right.
Or it's bundled in thanks to the good folks at CAA, UTA, or any of those top 5.
I have in my little scrapbook, I have a letter from a director who was also an actor, telling me he wished he could have hired me for his movie. Big studio film, not huge, but it would have been life-changing, I think, for me. And he said, I can quote him, and he's a well-known actor-director, you were as funny as you are talented, engaging, I think. Maybe I can't quote it. But I know I was funny and talented in this letter, and he wished he could have hired me. Now, the girl that they hired had a development deal with the studio, and she was wonderful, fine in the part. I think I would have been better. Totally. But for him, it was not worth going to war over the studio to have me cast, but he knew enough about being an actor to know I needed that. I needed that reasoning because I knew I went in there and nailed it. I knew I did all I could, and I didn't get it.
I love it. I love that message, not that. You get it. Yeah. Well, I feel like we took a journey through this podcast. We said we weren't going to talk about acting. Obviously, it happens. It spills. Okay, so we are going to wrap this thing up. Is there anything that you want to say to the people listening about the journey, your journey?
About their journey.
Oh, their journey too.
Right. Why are they on it?
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
I'm going to spit this out real quick. So, Shannon brought to class one day this idea of giving permission. And I want to tell her on the record that I use that so much, and it changes people's lives. I coach women's basketball. I run an entertainment team for the Clippers. And giving people permission, Shannon gave me permission. And in return, I took that permission and have given other people permission.
Good.
And it is life-changing for people because I think you don't always know that you aren't giving yourself permission to do the stuff that you want to do or that you should be doing. So I want to thank you for that, for bringing that into us. And I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I want to thank you for that on the journey.
See, that's what's meaningful to me. I so appreciate that because I know that. I know I change people's lives with things that I say. And the new one that I've gotten a lot of response from my students is about telling them that they're fired.
Ooh.
They're fired from being their critic.
Right. Okay.
They're no good at it.
Terrible.
It's not their job.
Right.
Their job, and especially as an artist, is not to critique what you're doing as you're doing it. You know, maybe later you can look back, you can shoot your own thing, and you might look back on it and go, oh, well, that wasn't any good. Okay. Right. But in the moment, don't be judging it. That's not your job. Your job is to create it, to be truthful in that moment. So for others on the journey, you know, make sure that you're on the journey for the right reasons. Make sure that you know what you want out of it. Right? Because that'll get you through the hard times.
Right.
Right? Or you might go, I know people who do community theater, have a full-time regular job, and are so happy and satisfied. They're fulfilling their creative outlet. They're keeping a roof over their head, and there's no shame or anything terrible in that. Right. You know, what is it that you want? You want to help others. You want to uplift. You want to entertain. You want to make something relatable. You know, that's why you're on the journey. I think. And an Oscar would be great, okay? An Oscar would be great. But you got to do something.
Oh, I was hoping they would just give it to me.
Right, they don't just hand those out.
Like, he seemed like a nice guy. Okay,
right.
Fair enough. Well,
I guess had that Price Waterhouse mix up. Oops.
You see? Look, exactly.
We'll just give these out.
It's for you. All right, well, I guess we're going to head to class now.
Yes, we are. Yay.
Well, thanks for dropping by the pod. It's been epic. And yeah, thank you, Shannon Sturges. Where can they find you on social media? I hear you're on Instagram these days.
You can find me on Instagram at Shannon Sturges.
Boom.
Or at Spicer Sturges.
Okay.
They want to check out the studio.
Check out the studio. All right, guys. Well, it was a pleasure, and I'll see you next time on The Journey with Brandon Thomas.
Thank you.